This is Jordan Tower with JT News. Make sure you smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. Well, Kirk Burroughs, a guy who used to work as president of Bad Boy in the late 90s, or not anywhere in the 90s, I forget, because then it switched over to another guy after that. But anyways, he admitted that Diddy probably released Who Shot Ya by Biggie right after Tupac got shot to fuel, making Pac think that Biggie could have had something to do with it, to fuel sales. Obviously, we all know this is what happened, okay? But this just shows you how Diddy was operating back then. Now he calls himself Love, and, you know, he proclaims that he's this peaceful guy and just wants peace. I mean, this was the guy that was caught in the middle of a shooting in Brooklyn with J-Lo and Shine, and threw Shine away just to stay free. You know, like, this is a guy that kept a lot of his artists starving, allegedly. You know, Black Rob, G-Dep, you know, a lot of these people didn't get a second album or didn't get a good second run, you know. Even Mace's second album was like, you know, it wasn't that great. It wasn't as good as the first one. When Puffy started focusing on himself and dropping albums, you know, Puff Daddy and the Family, then he had all the other ones, he kind of like shifted the focus on himself to keep the label going after Biggie had passed. Now, there's a lot of rumors, you know, like, think about it. Pac, there was this big thing going on, and this is an example of what's going on today. Okay, people play like it's a video game. They were kind of playing like that back then, in a sense, when Diddy was in Suge were playing with this like it was like play, and it wasn't. You know, it actually turned out to be pretty bad, and people were shocked by it. People aren't so shocked nowadays, but back then people were shocked, like, oh my gosh, Tupac really died, you know, like, because in it seemed like it was because of this East Coast, West Coast thing. It turned out it was because of actually Tupac going out to the West Coast with Suge and them and getting involved in more gang activity. I mean, he was prior to that, but getting involved in some more gang stuff he probably shouldn't have been involved in, and actually taking someone's chain in Vegas, which resulted in him getting shot in the Strip. It had nothing to do with Biggie, but people felt like it had something to do with that. Remember, there was no social media back then. There was no way to get the news out. It was all like magazines and the regular news. There was no hip-hop news. The only hip-hop news there was The Source. I think there was a couple other magazines. I think XXL was out then, or maybe that came a little bit later. You definitely had a couple other hip-hop magazines and publications, but you didn't have anything really to put the news out there. So would you have brought Biggie out to the West Coast after that happened? It wasn't even a whole year after that happened, and they did, and some people probably took that as disrespect, and Biggie lost his life, you know, and there was no reason to fuel something like that. Someone actually got shot. Like, the Tupac getting shot in the elevator turned out to be something else, we learn now. He had problems with some other street dudes in New York that Biggie knew. And, you know, Pac was very vocal about that, but there was no reason to drop Who Shot Ya right after that happened. I mean, that, of course, it drove album sales, but it also escalated things to another level, you know? So anyways, we already knew this. We didn't need to confirm. But, you know, it is what it is. This is Jordan Tower with JT News. Let me know what you guys think about that whole situation. You know, I guess we'll never, ever stop hearing about Biggie and Tupac stories. I mean, they're just going to go on forever. I mean, it's been 25 years since their passing, you know, pretty much. You know, it's like, when is it going to stop? This is Jordan Tower with JT News. But it does show you the impact.